Moments of inspiration mixed with time to network, IBJ Media Events has you covered. From industry deep dives to awards celebrating Indiana's top leaders, see what's coming up and reserve your seat at ibj.com/RSVP.
Hi, I'm Jayson Manship, host of Authentic and Agentic, presented by TechPoint. Every week on this show, we break down what's happening in AI and what it means for how we work, lead, and live. Join me for a human-focused conversation that keeps you ahead of the curve. This is the Authentic and Agentic podcast on the IBJ Media Podcast Network. Hey friends, Jayson Manship here, the host of the Authentic and Agentic podcast. Today I am doing something fun and different. I get questions all the time around how do I actually use these AI tools? How do I build with them, not just talk to them? So today we're going to do that. We're going to skip our normal process, our normal show, and do something a little different. And so I am building today. You're going to want to go over to the YouTube channel and watch this one. I'm going to talk through it so that if you are listening, you'll still get a lot of value out of it, but I think you're going to really like it more if you go watch it because you're going to get to see some of the practical bits and pieces of this come together. And so we're gonna move quick. We're gonna try to show you soup to nuts, start to finish, how to do this. This is not pre-scripted or pre-planned. I'm just going to build something on the fly. And we're going to show you how this works. I am in a product called Claude right now, Claude.ai. Love it. It's my favorite. It is a downloaded piece of software. And so if you haven't used it yet, go get it. It's literally the best $20 you can spend. Costs $20 a month. It comes, the downloadable version comes with the chat agent, which you're used to, right? If you've done any kind of Clauding or ChatGPTing or Geminiing or Grokking or whatever, this is you chatting with it. Co-work is where it adds the ability to interact with your desktop. So this can actually edit your files on your desktop. It can open your emails. It can do all sorts of other stuff. And this is where you can start to build some agentic components to what you're doing. This is where the computer can start to do work for you instead of just talking to you. And then the advanced feature, which we're not going to get into now, is Claude Code. I do this a lot. This is a whole different thing. But that is where it's actually editing things. So I use Claude Code to edit the Moonshot Game Store website. Like I have it hooked up straight to Shopify and I talk to it and it modifies our website. So Claude is pretty legit. We're going to use it today. We're going to use it to scope the project. And then I'm going to actually use another tool called Replit, Replit.com to build the project. So just follow along. Let's see what happens here. First thing I like to do is I like to use an audio recorder. I use a tool called Wispr, W-I-S-P-R, to record me talking. I find it to be faster than text, and I also don't overthink what I'm typing. I just kind of think out loud, and it records everything, and I let it parse that and ask me questions. It is a more natural way to engage with AI bots and agents. If you really think about it, if I were hiring a software developer, I wouldn't spend all my time like getting everything perfect when talking to them. I would just have a meeting, and we would talk about stuff in a meeting. And so the way I think about this, folks, is I'm talking to my software developer that I'm asking to build this application for me today, and I'm just talking to it, just like I would a human being that was coding this project for me. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to get started. We're going to use Claude Co-work to help me craft the brief so that Replit can build it. All right, here we go. I had a really cool dinner the other night with the folks at the IBJ, podcast hosts from across the IBJ network. I think they have 12 or 15 podcast hosts now. You can find out more about each of the podcasts at ibjpodcasts.com, ibjpodcast.com. Go there and you can see the details of all of the various podcasts that are currently on the IBJ Media Network. But in that meeting, we were talking about how we can help each other and how we can scale our kind of listenership, how we can encourage each other's audiences and guests to listen to each other. And so here's what I want to do. I want you to help me craft a brief that I'm going to send to Replit. Replit is going to build a web application for us, an internal web application for us at the IBJ to track all of the new episodes, the content of those episodes, the important bits and pieces of those episodes, such that we can share that privately behind the scenes with each other to encourage a more network effective sharing. And one of the end goals I see coming of this is actually connection sharing as well, not just pushing stuff out, more broadly. And so we have podcasts of all shapes and sizes. It is the Indianapolis Business Journal, so it is business focused primarily. But we have content on law, content on AI, content on young folks building, the next generation of leaders. We have sports, we have innovation, we have financial, all sorts of cool bits and pieces. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to start by going to the ibjpodcast.com website, pulling down a list of all those podcasts and analyzing and understanding what they are and what they're trying to do. And then I want you to come back to me with a series of questions on how we're going to scope this. I want you to have a clear understanding of what we're doing, and then I want you to give me a breakdown of questions that I can answer for you so that we can build the perfect project scope to create this application. So let's start there. All right, I have submitted now the audio that I just recorded into Claude, and Claude is crunching. It'll take a few minutes to crunch. I'll try to talk through it as it's going, but in essence, this is, just like if you chatted with a chatbot, but Claude is doing some work behind the scenes. What I like about it, if you're watching this, is it'll build a progress chart, which is kind of fun. So it'll do a whole bunch of work over time, but it keeps track of what it's working on. So it's kind of a neat thing to make sure that it's checking all the boxes. You can set all of this stuff up into local working folders inside of Claude, which is fun. So that way, if you're doing a ton of different projects at once, you can really scope it out that way. And then it has these various connectors. Right now, it's only using the web search connector, but I may hook it up to Google Drive or other things to have it, interconnect basically with other things. So we're letting Claude run. It's currently going to the IBJ website and reading all about the podcasts. It's trying to understand the context of what it needs to do to make this happen. And then it will come back with a series of questions. While it's doing that, a couple other notes on Claude. On the left-hand side, you're going to see a list of all your recent projects. So it has, because it's on desktop, it's both cloud and desktop. It has a really cool memory feature where it just remembers a lot of stuff, right? I know that's one of the frustrations I hear from folks on some of these AI bots is that it, forgets things we talked about in the past or whatever. That's getting better and better as tokenization and memory gets more real long-term. So just continue to understand that that's going to improve. And then the other thing that's really cool is this dispatch feature. I'll talk about that here in a second. We have another break, but it's already back to me. So it did a dig across the website. Oh, I wasn't expecting to stumble across your own show. Well, thank you. Okay, so 8. So scoping questions. Who exactly is us in the app? All right, so here's what I'm going to do, guys. I'm going to, it gave me a big long list. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say, can you give me these questions in bullet point format without all the additional context? I don't got time to read all that stuff. Again, guys, you're talking to this as if it were a software developer sitting next to you. Now I can parse this a lot faster. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to answer these questions in real time and then let it keep going. Okay, us is the podcast host, producers, editorial staff, potentially advertising and sponsorship also, but definitely the teams building the podcast. Some folks are doing it themselves. Some have a small team around them. But basically, I want to be able to create a system. I would say the primary user is probably Chris Spangle, the head of podcast for the IBJ. But I think each of the hosts and their teams probably want the ability to interact with this also. Total users, 20-ish probably. Don't know, 20 to 30 maybe. I imagine some will be more active than others, but we probably need to plan for up to 30 people-ish maybe to have access to this tool. What fields should be captured? I'd capture everything. There's no reason not to, right? I mean, get the data you can. We'll store it. Whether we use it or not, it's something we can deal with later. But I would like for this tool to pull down the episode data that's attached when episodes go up, including the links to all the various places it goes. But I also want to build a feature that scrapes the actual audio file and pulls that down and turns it into a transcript. So we understand what's in the audio file so we can layer some AI into it. I'm envisioning a scenario where we're AI-ifying each of these podcast episodes and pulling out stuff that's relevant. So, For example, if I do something on the law or the legal podcast does something on AI, it'd be cool to know that and connect those dots. And so I think we should plan for that. I don't want anybody entering anything manually. This needs to be frictionless. This needs to be as easy as possible. Everyone touching this app is going to be super busy and is not going to have the time to do anything manually. I think they should have the option. I love the ability for me as a podcast host to layer in some additional meta, right? Hey, this is a really important episode for me. I really need to get this in front of the following types of people. That would be helpful, right? It'd be nice to be able to put that in there, but I don't want to require it. I want the system to do the work. When you say important bits and pieces, I don't know about going too far down the quotable moments. I think maybe it is, right? And so again, let's see what AI can do for us. I'd like for AI to analyze every episode and pull some of that stuff out, right? I mean, we should be able to create the important bits and pieces programmatically using, some version of an AI tool reading a transcript. And so open to ideas and suggestions there. We can start basic and expand that if we want to, but I think it needs to be able to do that. Guest connection sharing in practice. I don't know the answer to that question. I definitely don't want to create like an online dashboard where we're all uploading each other's lists or whatever. But I do think there's value in hosts helping each other. And so maybe there's a bulletin board type-ish feature where it's like, hey, I'm looking for someone on this topic. Does anyone know anyone? That'd be kind of cool. I think it should be more pull than push. I don't think we should like connect everyone's contact books and give everybody access to each other's contacts because we've all worked hard to build our relationships, and I don't want this to become a free-for-all. But I like the idea of that. I also like the idea of hosts being able to tag guests or to push. Like I'd love to be able to tell, hey, Pete the Planner, this is somebody that I think would be great for your show. Or, hey, Gary Dick, this is a startup I interviewed at the Miro Awards that I think you should talk to, right? I mean, I think there should be some ways for me to encourage for each of the hosts and members of this internal application to encourage each other, but I don't see any like forced messaging there. I think on the discovery and cross-promotion piece, I like the idea of a weekly email digest. I don't think it's reasonable to expect any of the hosts to log into this tool. I think the actual humans logging into this tool are probably me and Chris Spangle, period. I don't think we're going to have a lot of people logging in, but I do think if we can build a way to push something valuable to them, it becomes super interesting. And so let's think through that. I don't think we need to connect to Slack or CMS or anything else. I think that sending an email is sufficient. We'll have Replit code all that up, but we don't need to do anything beyond that, I don't think. And I don't have any specific breakdowns on what's due when or however. I do want to get this product to Replit today, like we're literally right now. So as soon as you put together the brief for me, I'm going to share that with Replit. I want to be very clear here, though. I don't want you to design the code or the architecture. I just want you to write up the full project plan that takes in all of these inputs I just gave you such that I can give it to Replit and Replit can code it. I just want to make sure that we're not trying to over-engineer at this point in the process. All right, as I'm waiting for my audio to dictate here, I will get this submitted. And then one thing to note there is I have in the past asked Claude or ChatGPT or whatever else to code up a script that I then hand to a coding app. And sometimes it can over-engineer early in the process. You heard me use that exact term as I was creating this. I like to instead create scopes here, right, which maps out the whole project. And then you can copy paste that into another tool, whether it be Claude Code or Codex from ChatGPT, or in this case, I'm going to use Replit just to show you that tool. But those tools build their tech. They have the same kind of infrastructure capabilities, right? They're bigger, better, stronger at the coding side of things. That's what they're engineered for. So I like to let them do that work. And I like to let this be my voice of discussion back and forth that I can then take to those tools and let those tools build it. And that's just kind of a lesson learned. The other lesson I would tell you when you're building apps like this is don't try to build a 50-story skyscraper, right? You don't need to master plan this gigantic software architecture. You literally start and you build it, and then you iterate, and then you iterate, and then you iterate, and then you iterate. And what you're going to find is that you're going to get to a product you're happy with a lot faster that way. When you try to build too much into it too early, it becomes tricky to kind of connect all the dots. That's some of the limitations of software. And then also, like, unless you're a master architect at planning this stuff out, you probably don't really know what you're doing. And so here's the scope it came back with. For simplicity, I'm going to copy it. I'm going to open Replit. Okay. Replit is replit.com. This is a agentic software development tool. I'm going to come straight to this homepage and I'm just going to paste in the entire doc. And I'm going to say, here is a scoping document for a new project I need you to build. I used Claude to create this. Please read it over. Let me know if you have any questions, and then let's get building. And all I did was paste it in the output from Claude. So now Replit, you've probably become accustomed to this whole like chat mode feature, right? Like everything nowadays is serve and volley. You give it something and it goes and works, and then it comes back and asks questions. And we're training ourselves as a race, as human beings, right, to interact with computers this way, where it's going on this path. What's cool about Replit is it starts asking these questions. So, how would you like? I think simple email and a magic link's fine. I don't want to have to integrate all those things. So just put in your email, it'll send you a link, and then you get in from there. For transcription, which do you want to use? Let's use OpenAI's Wispr. It tells you which of these things. So like, for example, in this case, I asked it to transcribe audio files. It needs a tool to do that. Which tool do you want to use? And it gives you options. You can plug in your own options, but I'm going to choose OpenAI Wispr. It's what I use in other places, and it does a good job. It just goes out and grabs the audio and it transcribes it into written text so that the software can actually do something with it. For the weekly digest, which do you want to use? I'm going to use Resend only because I've used it before. I've used SendGrid too, but Resend is easy. I can generate an API key quickly. This may feel technical if you're not a technical person. It'll walk you through every step along the way. But when you hook up a service like sending an email, there's some technical pieces to that, right? It doesn't just automate it. So you just have to work with this chatbot inside of this software tool, and it will help you get there. For V1, ship everything in the brief. I think we should do that, right? Ship the 4, then add bulletin board and digest. Let's do that. So we're going to ship the core loop first. So it's going to ingest and transcribe AI and feed, and then we'll come back and add the bulletin board and the digest. That seems reasonable. Real episode processing costs real money. Want me to wire it up to actually process episodes from day one or stub it? Let's wire it up. I'll spend real money. It's worth testing. So, it's cool that it's asking that question, right? One of the things I've learned, guys, in building with AI is that you have to put your credit card in, right? You don't, if you want to actually build, but the math is wild. And so, yes, it's going to cost some dollars, but it's not going to cost you tens of thousands of dollars. It's going to cost dozens of dollars. So we'll run the breakdown here and see what happens. But you can see this tool is booting up. It's starting to create a visual element. It's going to launch its own application. It's creating a database to store everything. And what's kind of cool about it is, I'm going to move my face over to this side. What's kind of cool about it is it's telling you what it's doing, right? And so it's going to literally get started down this path and connect all the dots. And it'll tell you, hey, I'm working on this. Hey, I'm working on this. I'm strategizing your API specification design. So it's putting together all the pieces. And so this can run sometimes for a while, depending on how complicated your application is. Because if you think about it, it's building out a database. It's connecting to OpenAI to get the OpenAI Wispr technology for transcription. I'm going to have to solve for if it's going to pull down the RSS feeds of the audio files or if I'm going to have to get that elsewhere. This is all just letting the tool run and seeing what it comes back with. And so the biggest part of building with AI, vibe coding is what this is called. The biggest part about building with AI is to just let it run and respond. And if you don't understand it, ask the question. Why did you do this? How does this work? I don't understand why you're using OpenAI right now. What's that doing? And it will tell you, right? And so in general, I just like to keep the ball moving, right, is the big thing. Add a feature, get feedback, test the feature. By default, just showing you this little tool down here, is it gives you the option to decide what version you want to do, right? So this is where the billing side of this comes in. You can turn your agent in Replit into light, economy, or powerful, depending on how much you want to spend and how long you want it to take. And so, for example, like turbo mode, I could toggle this on. We'd get done 2.5 times faster, but it would cost me 6 times as much to do it. App testing is where it actually runs tests on the application. I'll leave that on for now just to show you what that looks like. So when it builds something, it actually like fills out the form and sees what happens and tests it. And so I usually toggle this off when I'm building because I'm constantly rapid firing and I'm constantly testing my own stuff. But this is a feature. I just feel like it slows me down. But for now, I want you to see it. So I'll leave it on. And we'll see where this goes. You know what? While that's happening, let's see if we can't just go ahead and get ahead of this. So I'm going to click back over to Claude. Okay. And just to show you the power of Claude, let's do this while Replit's building on the other side. Great. I have submitted the project brief to Replit. It is building the software application. Can you go ahead and compile all of the RSS files from all of these shows? I'd like to go ahead and download them all into a local folder on my computer. I don't know if we're going to import those into Replit or if it's going to grab them directly from the web, but it feels like having them all locally makes a lot of sense. If not, tell me why. See how I just like am trying to keep the ball moving, letting it work on something, and it may say that's a really stupid idea because RSS files should live on the web directly. Let's see. And then what we'll do here, folks, is if you're watching, I will multi-screen here so you can see both at once. Okay. RSS feeds are live, continuously updating. Every time a new one, the feed drops. Download them today, a snapshot from today, it'll be stale. That said, having the URLs compiled, that's great. Let's do that. So compile the URLs. It's not going to compile them, or it'll compile them, but it may not download them all. So this is kind of cool. If you look over on the Replit side of the screen, it has booted up a design sub-agent. So what's happening as these AI tools expand to get more technical and more complicated is it's like, so we went and hired a firm to build a piece of software for us, right? We sat down with a team, a project manager, a quality control person, a software developer, a designer. What this is basically saying is, hey, now that we have the scope put together, we're bringing in this design sub-agent, in essence, a virtual designer whose job is to lay it all out. And so that agent is specifically wired and coded to design this thing based on the scoping documents, right, that are being created behind the scenes. And so it's cool. This is relatively new in a lot of this, where agents are passing to other agents and doing other things. When you go to actually push code live, there will be a quality control agent they call the architect in Replit that's looking over everything and making sure it all connects. There'll be security agents that run audits on your code once it's all built to make sure that you're not exposing anything unintentionally. Man, there's just lots of different it's kind of like passing the football around to each other. And they all work together to get us to a finished product, which is the cool part. And so just stay tuned. It's working. You can click in here too. I didn't expand that, and it'll show you all the various things that it's doing, right? And you can, now I'm mapping the background structure. Now I'm creating this user file, and you can actually see the code if you want to dig into it. But it's kind of cool just to watch. And so right now in real time, if you're listening, in my screen open, I have Claude on the left pulling down the RSS feeds from the IBJ podcasts. I have Replit open on the right, building the software. And inside of Replit, there is both a coding agent and a design agent, sub-agent, working at the same time. And they are actively attempting to build all of this tech as we go. All right. So Claude says it got all of the feeds. 13 for 13. Every feed is live. Now it's writing the file. So it's going to put together a local file that we can reference in the app. That'll shortcut some of the work that needs to happen on the Replit side to connect these dots. But you can just see how many, if you're looking at the Replit screen, you can just see how many files are being created and how it's connecting all the different dots to each other, how it's running. So the designer agent ran out of time. Only built the foundation. Let me first. This is the part I love, right? How did it run out of time? What does that mean, right? Like, did you give it a timer? Did I tell it only go so far? Like, how does a design sub-agent run out of time? This is the part that's super fascinating because it's kind of like humans, right? I mean, oh, your designer had to go home or didn't finish the job before they left for the day. Now we got to deal with it and figure it out. And so it's in real time figuring it out. It's saying, well, what happened? Why am I solving this? How do I do this? And so the agents are talking back and forth amongst themselves and booting back up again and trying to figure it all out. And it's just wild. It is wild to watch these software tools interact with each other in this way. All right. So here's what we have learned. The RSS feeds. We have 13 shows and 13 feeds. Every one of them is hosted on Megaphone, which is great news for Replit because there's one consistent parser. So we'll be able to open up this RSS feed doc. There's all of the podcast IDs. I'll just open that in Google Drive so I have it. And then we will be able to paste this into Replit to make Replit's life easier. So look how cool this is. The Claude generated a Google Sheet for me, or a Google Doc for me. Headlines, titles, details, right? And then here's all the stuff you need. So that's pretty cool. And then it leaves notes, and then it drops Apple IDs here. And so we'll be able to just share this document with Replit, and Replit will be able to do all sorts of stuff with it. Build and integrate 4 new pages. That's creating an episodes page, an episode detail, shows, show detail, and it's building all of that out right here in real time. So we're going to go back to full screen on Replit. I'm going to hide this. I don't know how to hide this. What's it? Oh, it's because we're in the wrong spot. We're looking at the actual file. So we're still designing the tool. I have used Replit. Oh, man. The number of projects I've built with Replit is probably 50 at this point. If you're watching, and I think you'll see this in real time, you can build a full-blown software application, at least V1 of one right away. And if you apply this to your business and to your operations, folks, you can actually go build pretty much anything you need to build. There's a lot of complexities later on in life, right? If you're a super complex company, HIPAA compliance, all sorts of other things, there's lots of deeper discussions here. But if you're just trying to automate a task inside of your organization, or you're trying to build a feature that your software doesn't do, right? And man, wouldn't it be cool if I could do X, Y, or Z? You can use a tool like this to do it. I run my companies using this tool because it is that powerful and it allows me to build whatever I want, right? And so we build around it. We no longer look at the world through the lens of, can our software do that? We just say, well, what would we do if our software could do anything? That's a pretty wild use case, right? And so that's how we think about the space in the world right now. I had a chance, it was really cool actually, when I was out in Washington, D.C. for the Axios AI conference, I had a chance to talk to the CEO of Replit. And these guys are doing wild things, right? They're actively building some of the coolest tech in the space right now. And one of the things he talked about was that they're in a behind-the-scenes battle with Apple because the Apple App Store doesn't like this product. There is a mobile version of Replit that I have on my phone that they have taken off the App Store. They won't let them update it because Replit allows you to build anything you want. And part of Apple's terms are if you have an app, you can't have that app build other apps just because it becomes whack-a-mole for them to manage. The folks at Apple are actively trying to limit the capabilities and all of that. And so, all right, so this has popped up and created. If you're watching my screen, you'll see it's not done yet, so I don't want to start filling stuff out. It'll tell me when it's time to look at this stuff. But we have an IBJ Media Podcast Network login screen that's built, and I have a magic link feature that basically is saying, hey, if you want to get into this app, you have to put in your email address and then hit send magic link, and it'll send me an email with the magic link, and then that magic link will allow us to kind of go from there. So it says the app is live and it looks great. It's running a code review. So this is, again, that coding agent. This is the software architect coming in at the end and saying, all right, we built it. Now, before we use it, let's run a test against it. And so it will likely do two things here. One, it's actually reading all the code as a different agent. So just like in a software development company, you have a software that builds it, and then you have a senior architect that looks it all over, right? Kind of like a lawyer or a paralegal, right? The paralegal drafts stuff, and then the lawyer looks it over. Same thing here. So it's running a code review, and that's a whole different agent with that walks into it blind and says, all right, let me look at all this code and see if all the code makes sense. That's what it's looking for. And then likely, as soon as that's done, it'll run an actual like quality control agent, which spins up, and you'll actually see it here on the left-hand side in the window. It actually spins up a test where it starts to fill out forms and do stuff. It may not do that this early because we only have a submission form so far, but my hope is that once this comes back to us and says we're good to go, we should be able to test it in real time, and you guys can see V1 of this in motion. It's thinking. It says reviewing the IBJ Media Podcast Network app, focusing on ingestion robustness, SQL, which is database injection, and front-end wiring. So it's just going and looking to make sure that there aren't any, ways to do malicious things to this app, that it's solving all of the technical core features that it needs to do. And it's building from there. It ingested 38 episodes from one feed, and the seed lists need the user's real RSS URLs. Transcription is hitting OpenAI's 25 megabyte limit on full length, so it's a known limitation. Okay, so this is learnings, right? So a couple things to talk through here. One, OpenAI, the tool we're using for Wispr, which is the podcast transcription feature, has a 25 megabyte limit. And because we're doing podcasts, some of these episodes are 45. I mean, this one alone is going to be an hour probably. And so 25 meg limit is going to break. And so it's documenting it as a known limitation. I can tell you, because I've dealt with this before, that what we can do is actually chunk it, right? So we can break it into multiple pieces in transcription and then put it all back together at the end. That's how you get around some of these limitations. And the only reason I know that is because I've had to do that. I have done a tool like this for a different podcast. And in so doing, you run into these limitations and you just learn how to work through it. And so I didn't come up with that idea. The tool did, and it will come up with the same idea here, I'm sure. Or I'll tell it, hey, let's go ahead and chunk this into smaller pieces and then put it back together into one full transcript. So let's see what that's doing. All right, so it also says the architect flagged some real issues. Let me fix the critical ones. So let's just go look and see what it flagged. So critical fixes, setting up operations for Magic Link, adding on conflict. This is all technical jargon. Y'all don't even need to know anything about this, right? What's really cool about this, and it's, again, no different than if you were hiring a software developer, where they are going to solve these problems behind the scenes. That's what they do. They know how to do it. They know the technical. They know how the bits and pieces work. They test it. They break it. They fix it. You, as the client that's asking for this project, don't need to know how any of this stuff works. It's cool, right, that this tool tells you. And it's something that as you get deeper into it, you're going to start to see more and more of, right? You're going to see terms like gating and things like that. You're like, I don't know what this means, but it starts to become more familiar as you get into it. All right. So it says server is healthy. The IBJ Media Podcast Network is live, and the core loop is real from day one. We're ingesting RSS. We've got transcriptions. We've got all these different things. Okay. So what's in this tool? Magic Link sign-in's done. Dashboard's done, episode browser's done, shows and directory, admin only, boom, 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 boom. And then here's a list of the things we know we need to do, right? Do you want me to keep going and tackle the audio chunk? Look, it already suggested audio chunking, right? Because here's a known follow-up. OpenAI's 25 cap rejects full length. Those episodes land and failed with the reason. So let's do this. It's going to give me a URL to put stuff in. For now, it's going to be private, but I'll open this up by the time the show airs. I can't actually, because I'm going to keep this confidential to the IBJ network, folks. So you can try to go here, but you won't be able to get into it because it's going to be locked down. IBJ podcasts.replit.app. I'm going to hit publish, and it's going to go ahead and create this. And then I'm going to say, yes, please work on the chunking of audio files. And here's the full details on the RSS feeds. So I'm going to go back over to the Google Doc that was created. I'm just going to copy and paste that into here. And what you're seeing, guys, in real time on the right-hand side is it's provisioning. So what I really like about Replit that's easier than a lot of the other tools is it is building the infrastructure to host all this stuff. So it's spinning up cloud servers, it's provisioning all that, it's building databases, it's connecting dots, it's pushing stuff up to the code basis, and then it's going to put it at a URL that we can just go to. And again, this URL won't be available to you all because I need to keep it private we're actually going to use this tool. I mean, hopefully I'm going to talk to Chris and we'll turn this thing on and see what happens. So I'm going to leave it private so you guys can't get to it, but it does create a live URL that you can actually hook up a custom domain to. You just go over to the domains tab and buy a new domain or connect an existing domain. So a lot of the stuff I do is there, right? It's just connected that way. And so we're going to let this thing continue to publish. I'm also going to tell it to work on these things. And so while that's publishing, what's kind of cool is it's basically taking a snapshot of everything at this point in time, and then it's publishing it. One thing I want to point out, people ask about the cost of this. So I'm going to click on this button. This worked for 15 minutes right here. Oh, come back. So it wrote 3,536 lines of code. Nope, 3,890, right? And the total cost for me was $7.82. So to get to V1 of this application cost $7.82. Now there's lots of work to do still, and I have no idea what's going to happen. That's part of the testing. So hey, we're doing it live, like we could, right? Check your inbox. Well, let's do that. Let's check our inbox and see what happens. Oh, it doesn't have the ability to send email because I didn't hook it up to anything. So that won't work. Let's use DevLink. See if that does anything. All right, good. Takes us right in. Yeah, our inbox doesn't work because I haven't hooked it up to resend yet. So that'll be another feature that we'll do. But here is V1 of this application right here, right? Morning overview. Here's what's happening across the network today. You've got 2 shows, 38 episodes, 12 that failed to come in. Here's the episodes. We'll see if it loads anything. Doesn't look like it's pulling anything in yet. Here's the 2 shows. It's got Inside Any Business with Gary Dick and the IBJ podcast with Mason King. Inside of this, I have no idea what this image is. So it's pulling in some random stuff. And so this is where it's got the kind of scaffolding built. Once we pull in all of the RSS feeds, it should really start to fill out. But this is the decisions it made, right? Based on the inputs I gave it, it built this. And so I told it, if you remember correctly, I told it to build kind of the original dashboard, ingest all the shows, and do all of that before we start to build any bulletins or any messaging amongst each other. And so here's what we'll do. We will take a quick break for a ad from one of our sponsors. And then we'll come back. I'm going to let it run so you guys don't have to just sit and watch it run. I'm going to let it run and I'll come back with something a little more finished. And if I do any actual work between now and then, I'll detail all that too. I don't want you to feel like, puts the food in the oven, pulls the food out of the oven, and it's not quite that simple. So we'll talk through all that. But for now, I'm going to hit pause and we're going to come back to this. AI isn't just changing jobs, it's changing who gets hired. TechPoint's new brief, AI amplifies the need to address the experience gap, shows how AI is changing entry-level jobs and how employers can take advantage of this moment. Download the brief and find out ways to get involved at techpoint.org/AI gap. AI is transforming every industry, and Indiana Wesleyan University is preparing professionals to lead that change. IWU offers a Master of Science in AI and Data Analytics, a graduate certificate in AI Business Innovation, and an Applied AI Analytics concentration, all designed for working adults. Flexible, online, Christ-centered, and grounded in biblical ethics. Discover how IWU can help you find the way forward. Visit indwes.edu. All right. Thank you again to our sponsors. This is they make this show happen. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do this. So behind the scenes, I've let this run for maybe 5 more minutes, and I have done nothing. I've literally clicked nothing. I've done nothing. This is all pulling up. Let me show you what it's doing now. So on the shows page, look, it pulled in all the shows. Kind of cool. That's from the RSS feed that Claude provided. And so all I did, you saw me do it, was just paste in here and say, here's the list of stuff. And so it goes and pulls them in. Let's just click on one, for example. There's the episodes, how it's connecting all that. I mean, it's just pulling it in from an RSS feed. Kind of cool, easy enough, right? Now let's go to episodes. And this looks to be timestamps. So these are the newest ones. A couple of these failed because of the data size. So if you look on the left-hand side, it's still working to figure out how to handle the size of some of these files. They're too big, and so it's compressing them and then cutting them into chunks and then putting them back together. But let's just show one that is working, right? Because if you look down, it's transcribing this one. It's got a bunch of these done already, and so we'll just click into this one here. This is the radio on demand from Inside Indiana Business. Okay, so look what this does. It grabs the title, right? Here's the audio. This is only a 4-minute audio file, so this is quick. But AI summary created automatically, key quotes pulled in automatically, sourced and ready to go, right? Topics discussed, tagged to this episode, and then suggestions on cross-network relevance. So, hey, this is things you might want to connect the dots to, right? Here, have this follow up with a segment on the Greene County Initiative, right? Book a Business and Beyond episode with leaders from this group, right? What? This is doing this automatically, built on the very few prompts we gave it on the front end of this, which is actually wild, right? You're seeing, again, as I'm playing with this tool on the right, this is a real thing. This is built. I pulled it in. It's working. Audio plays, right? It's all here. While it's doing that, my software architect is flagging issues and trying to figure this stuff out. Let's go back to shows. Actually, let's go back to episodes. Let's pick a different one, maybe a longer one. Here we go. We got Playmakers, Elio Castroneves on the drive for the 5th, right? So this is an 18-minute episode with Dave Calabro, I assume interviewing, he sits down with Motor Speedway Elio Castroneves, right? Key quotes, some things Elio says. They don't call you Elio Castroneves anymore. They call you the Indy 500 champ. That's how things change. That's kind of cool, right? But it's going to pull in, again, additional things to connect these dots. So cool. It's got a notes feature over here on the right where I can tag stuff, right? It's got it built the ability automatically to reprocess the episode if we're not happy with it. Like, guys, this is V1. This is phase 1. And that's what I wanted to show you, is that the goal of a tool like this is to get to this point. And then you're going to just spend your time iterating and iterating and iterating. And so once it's up and working and you can click through and use it, it's so much more functional, right? It's so much more reasonable and reliable to get into. What will organically happen? My next steps here are I'm going to pull all of the people that have been interviewed across every podcast network and create automatic. I didn't even think about that. Like, I was thinking, hey, why don't we have the hosts kind of introduce each other to each other? Well, now I can build a tool for me personally that says, hey, who have all the hosts interviewed, and take me straight to that segment of their interview so I can listen to it, and help me build a pitch to Leslie, asking her to introduce me to such and such, right? Like, this is next level stuff that's fully automated just by ingesting RSS feeds. My total cost on this project is maybe going to be $50 to build this whole thing, right? With all the tokens and cost associated with it. But guys, at the end of this, we're going to have, 3,000 episodes recorded. Go back to the dashboard. 3,948 episodes, starting to build trends and topics, starting to connect the dots in all these places. And this is just an internal tool for a media network that we've built. Like, think about what you could do in your business if you took the time to understand how to use Claude Co-work, which we just did. I just asked it questions. I said, this is what I want to do. This is the problem I'm trying to solve. Help me do it. And then I opened up Replit, and I pasted that in, and I said, please go build this for me. And this is what we have. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to call it here, because this thing could build forever, right? I'm going to call it here, and then I'm going to let it run and keep going back and forth with it, maybe for, the next hour or two, just as it goes. And then I will do a final recap of where we made it so you can see what it looks like when it's all said and done. And I'm going to be honest with the amount of time it took and the amount of effort it took too. Because I certainly don't want to go too far down the path of building something, where you feel like, wow, this guy built it, but it took him weeks to do. No, this is the kind of thing. We've done this in 43 minutes so far from start to finish. Like we didn't have a thing and now we have this in 43 minutes. And so let's keep moving. I will I'm going to pause again. I'm going to let it run and I'm going to come back and finish this episode off for you guys. Stay tuned. Everybody's talking about AI, but very few are actually executing. If your team is still experimenting with Copilot, you're already behind. Axia Technology Partners turns Microsoft AI into real business outcomes and fast. Not prompts, not pilots. This is production-grade AI embedded into your workflows. As a Microsoft certified AI solutions provider, Axia TP delivers Microsoft E7, the full stack of security, identity, and AI, implemented, governed, and scaled. While others are testing ideas, Axia TP's clients are reducing costs, automating operations, and moving faster than their competitors. This isn't about trying AI, it's about operationalizing it, and now. If you're serious about results, not experiments, visit Axia Technology Partners and start executing. Visit www.axiatp.com. That's AXIATP.com to learn more. All right, folks, just coming back to close this out. Wanted to show you what's happened. It's been running for maybe another 20 minutes or so. I have had a little bit of back and forth with the app. I'll walk you through that because it's a couple things that I think are kind of interesting. So first, it is telling me a couple of things. Number one, I asked the question, is this going to keep ingesting every episode or do I have to manually intervene and approve? So I told it to go grab these RSS feeds and start doing it. And then there were a few that were marked as failed. And I said, hey, those failed ones, what's going to happen with those? How's that going to work? And so first it said, yeah, it's going to do everything, right? We've got 3,932 episodes queued. We've transcribed 5 in motion, 9 done, and 2 failed. Okay. How long does this take? So 2 episodes every 2 minutes, 60 an hour, is going to take us 65 hours to compute. Right? Is that okay? Is that not okay? What do you want to do? How does that work? So that's what it came back to me with. And then 2, it's not currently set up to automatically fix a failed episode. So I just went back to it and said, timeline's fine. I'm not in a hurry, but I would like an estimate on a cost, right? Because I don't want to run up this giant bill. And I also want you to also automatically retry failed episodes. So it does this back of envelope math for me. Transcription costs 0.003 cents per minute of audio. And thus far, the average audio file is 45 minutes. So it's about 14 cents an episode, right? So it's checking tokens and analyzing and telling us what's going to cost to put all this together. So in general, it's saying between the transcription and the analysis, the tokenization and analysis of all this using GPT 5.1. And again, the tiers you use, guys, this is not necessarily something you have to know a ton about, but as the models get more advanced, they become more expensive. And so you can scale back the model to a lighter model, which is going to have less powerful AI features, but to lower your costs. I try to find that balance between reasonable and unreasonable. So in essence, it's saying, look, call it 20 to 30 cents an episode. Well, you have 3,900 episodes. So that's between $800 and $1,200 one time to go process all of these. And then after that, it's about $1 to $3 a week, right? So, per show, sorry. So $15 to $40 a week total cost to put it all together on a weekly basis, which seems totally reasonable, I think, if I'm a company like the IBJ and I want to build this tool that does all this stuff. But since I am only doing this as a test pilot project to get in front of Chris to see if it makes sense, I'm not going to pay for all that. I'm going to say, hey, what can I do differently? And so it came back. I said, all right, let's just do 90 days, right? We don't need to go back to the history of all Pete the Planner episodes and Gary Dick episodes from the beginning. Let's just go back 90 days and that'll start us off and that'll give us a proof of concept that makes sense. So now we're 213 episodes in, 30 cents an episode, $65. Fine. $65 approved. Let's go. So it's going to go back and start working through that. We'll have 213 episodes in our system, which I think will be really cool. And then the final piece to just hook up V1 of all of this was Resend. Resend is an external third-party application where it sends emails, right? It's like a transactional email service. It's technical. It's not like MailChimp or something where you log in and build an email newsletter. Resend is the thing that connects the email inboxes and the technology to actually like power an output and blast it out to somebody. So I have a Resend account. You have to connect the dots. And so I went through this whole process. I'm not going to bore you with it, but high level is it walks you through it, right? You go and you create an API key. So I created one called IBJ Podcasts. And then you go confirm the sending domain. So I'm, for my purposes here, just sending with genmonex.com. And so now this domain can start sending emails, right, through this tool. So hooked up, ready to go. Now the magic link emails and any emails I send from this application will go to people's inboxes. What's kind of cool, one other thing I want to show you is in Replit, for security, what they have is a feature called secrets. And so my API key for Resend is stored securely here, which means that I don't have to put it in the code. It's not exposed anywhere. It's stored safely in the secrets section of Replit. And then any configurations I choose to do are also stored. And so this is going to say, who's the mail going to come from? So right now I have it set to come from me. Obviously, if we go live with this inside of the IBJ network, we'll probably change it to an IBJ email address or Chris Bengal or something else. But for now, for testing, it's me. So guys, we're 48 minutes into this. App is built here. We are ingesting all of these various episodes. Pretty sweet. Transcribing midstream, analyzing other ones. Like the tool is just running. It's doing its thing. Taylor Swift's voice trademark. This is fun. So yeah, related to Authentic and Agentic could explore how Indiana founders and operators should think about protecting their brands and voices. That's a great idea. So I think there's going to be a lot of really neat stuff that comes from this. I hope you enjoyed this working example where we peeled back the curtain a little bit and showed you how to actually build with AI. If you have any questions, shoot me an email, jason@genmonex.com, JAYSON@genmonex. It's right here on the bottom of the screen. .com. I'd love to answer them. This is the type of stuff, folks. If you aren't building with this, please start. Go get Claude, $20. Go start a Replit account. Start testing some of this stuff. Get someone on your team to test some of this stuff. This is what you need to be doing to build faster. Just think about in an hour, less than an hour, together from zero to now, we have a product that could fundamentally enhance 13 different podcasts across the IBJ Podcast Network. What a cool feature in an hour's work. Go get started. We'll see you guys next week.